Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Robb Emmett, and I'm a video director, editor, and owner of a video production company called Win-Win Productions. And today I'm producing this webinar with some business colleagues of mine who are specialists in different areas, and we're going to discuss some ideas that are important for non-for-profit organizations to understand. How does a nonprofit come back successfully from a historic pandemic and economic shutdown? That is the overarching theme of this webinar series, and today's episode is called Video Tips for Viral Times. Many of us have had a worldwide crash course in live stream video meeting apps for the past 3 months. Is there anyone left in America who hasn't put up their cat as their virtual background in Zoom or placed themselves on some beach in the South Pacific while still in their pajamas? We had to have some fun with our newfound superpowers, didn't we? Most of us have been in front of a video camera more in the past 3 months than we've been in our entire lives. And while it's not the same as meeting in person, most of you have found video to be a rather versatile tool. We're benefiting from it right now, in fact, as we broadcast this webinar. So in today's episode, we'll discuss how non-for-profits can use video to help connect with donors, staff, and clients to recapture some of the momentum they had earlier in the year, reestablish their place in their communities, and refocus on the future work they have to do. I'll give a brief introduction about this topic, and then the whole panel will discuss. And we're not taking live questions in this webinar. However, if you do have one, send it to me at my email address, and we'll get back to you by email. So right now, I'd like to introduce our panelists. First, we have Jennifer Denil, who is the owner of JD Financial Associates. She is a certified public accountant who provides fractional financial controller services to closely held businesses. Jennifer assists her clients with understanding cash flows, increasing profitability, and identifying cost savings from operational efficiencies. Her clients benefit from her 30 years of financial experience without the cost commitment of a full-time employee. Most recently, she has assisted many companies of varying sizes with navigating the CARES Act funding opportunities. Next, Bill Hassett and .org Services provides strategy and revenue thinking and action for nonprofits across the Chicagoland area. Bill uses his many years of accounting, finance, and nonprofit board experience to help nonprofit leadership think through their ideas about strategy, their why us. He also challenges them to think about how they carry out their mission. The size of the nonprofits he serves ranges from the startup idea recently invented around a kitchen table to the third generation agency that needs to prepare for new challenges. He even works with the final stage agency that has the courage to merge or partner when it can't achieve success on its own. Bill was a partner in a CPA firm for many years and has served on more than a dozen nonprofit boards in roles that included all of the board officer positions, including board chair. He welcomes the chance to talk nonprofit with people interested in accomplishing community helping action. Next, Mary Erlane is the founder of Peak Development Strategies. She believes an organization's foundation is their people, the employees, management, and owners. She is a published author of business books. Her most recent books address the opportunities and challenges of the multi-generational workforce. Generational diversity is a root cause of many of the problems in business today that affect growth, productivity, and profitability. Mary says, as the constraints of doing business ease due to the pandemic, don't forget your people. She believes that a culture needs to be rebuilt in order for a business to sustain itself going forward. Finally, that leaves me, the featured panelist, to introduce myself by reading my own accolades in my own webinar, which I'll admit does feel terribly narcissistic, but I'll keep it short. My name is Robb Emmett, and I'm a video director and editor and the owner of Win-Win Productions. For almost 10 years, I've worked with companies and non-for-profits to help them make a good impression with video. From creative brainstorming and script writing to organizing crews and directing production to motion graphics and editing, Win-Win leads clients into better and more beautiful uses of video to reach viewers. Now offering remote video production services during the shutdown. I create promotional videos for use on websites and social media, update videos to reach customer and donors in email campaigns, and information-packed webinars like this one. Win-Win is not just a catchy name, it's also my philosophy of business. I want to win in business doing what I love, and I want my clients to win and to help them succeed in doing what they do. So today's topic is viral tips, video tips for viral times. I'll start with a brief overview of the topic and then open it up for the whole panel to discuss and wrap it up in about half an hour. So let's begin. I want to talk for a few minutes about some of the aspects of the uses of video, why it's a good tool for non-for-profits, and how to think about using it. And first of all, video is versatile. It's a very versatile tool. Equipment is very accessible. The cameras that were incredibly expensive, the quality of the image 10 years ago is now very accessible to anybody. Cameras you can purchase at Best Buy, or cameras you can get online for relatively cheap are really good cameras, especially for doing video for the web. Screens are also everywhere. Everyone has a screen in their pocket now. The use of mobile video has grown tremendously the past 10 years or so, and is only great at getting more. People use their, especially younger people, are using their phones far more than their desktop computers in some cases. Also, video is very shareable because of the ease of video formats, the ease of uploading, and the social media platforms we have. And of course, they're all built to be able to use video now. Video is very shareable. So you can send out video content to an initial set of contacts or a network, and all of a sudden it gets shared, and you've got many layers of sharing after a while, and a huge network that you've hit just from one post. So video is very shareable. You know, video is also very visual. What I mean by that is that in the process of marketing and advertising, the idea is to build in the audience a sense of know, like, and trust. If you've looked at internet marketing, you've probably heard that phrase before: know, like, and trust. Kind of these three main aspects that you want to build in your viewers. You want them to come to know you, that you exist and what you do. You want them to come to like you, to feel like they would like to interact with you, they would like to do business with you, and also that they trust you. Not just that they trust you to do what's right by them or keep your promises, but also that they trust that you're competent in what you do, that you will come through for them and do a good job for them. So when we're in person, people can hear your words, hear your tone, and see your body language, and all these things become information that they use to decide whether they know, like, and trust you. Well, a face-to-face meeting is ideal for that, but video is a kind of a great alternative because it does give viewers some of the same information. You see me, you see my body language, you hear my voice, my tone, and the words I'm using, and all of that becomes evidence of whether I'm trustworthy or not, or good at what I do or not. And I'm making an impression, a certain impression with you right now. So video is, I would never say it's better than face-to-face, except in certain circumstances, but really it's a really good alternative, especially during a shutdown, right? It's especially during a shutdown when you can't be face-to-face with people. And lastly, for this brief introduction, video never sleeps. Your recorded videos can go out 24/7 on YouTube or on your website or in some other avenue on social media, and people can watch it on their own schedule. So you're not bound to a certain meeting at a certain place in a certain time, like you would be in a face-to-face meeting. Your video can, if it's pre-recorded, you send it out and you can go on to do other things. And the whole time on your website or on your social media presence, your video is living and doing work for you without you being there. So video never sleeps and is always working for you. So those are some initial thoughts on the usefulness of video. So let's open it up. You guys, you can ask me questions or make comments from your own perspectives in your own fields about video as a tool, the pluses and minuses. What are your thoughts? So let's talk about it.
So Rob, you mentioned about video is absolutely not a replacement for face-to-face. I know for myself during this shutdown period, and I believe my colleagues also have experienced the same, where we got these emails right out of the gate, you know, almost from day one, of long and vast amounts of information that, frankly, I don't have the time to read all that, but that information was important. And how could people be more effective using video to be able to share the words? I mean, you know, give us some experiences that you've had and maybe some ideas on how video can be a more effective and efficient tool to carry a message.
Yeah, I got a bunch of those emails too, and I didn't read hardly any of them because they were so long. So all those emails probably, they could have been abbreviated, and the person speaking through video could have said what those emails said, I think, more efficiently just by speaking to the camera. So I would encourage organizations not to be afraid to take a step up in their, for example, the email communication, and use email to alert somebody to a video that they can click through and view, instead of trying to pack it all into the email. Email can be a great tool and words are great, but like you said, if it's a lot of information, you might just need to tease the person through the email to then click through to watch the longer video. So that would require a little more sophistication in how you use email. You might need to get an email platform, an email marketing platform to help you do that. Maybe somebody in-house or outsource if we'd be familiar with how to use it, would be a better choice than somebody who's brand new to it, trying to learn it on their own. So using email as a means to get people to click to something else can be a great way of giving them access to your video. And also, of course, social media. Maybe trying to do some of the communication work through social media rather than through email all the time. A lot of people only use social media in some ways, and we're on it frequently during the day. So not being afraid to use some of these other avenues, and maybe putting some time into learning them if you don't already know them, so that you can use video instead of just relying on an older tool like email.
Rob, are there experts out there, like you brought up social media? And for me, for example, I don't want to learn social media. I know that it's important to my business and my message. Are there experts out there that could assist me with that, and I just pay them, or like pay you to do something like that?
Yeah, there's plenty of people these days that focus on social media. There are some small marketing agencies that's almost all they do. And so the advantage of those types of partners is, one, they know the platform that you want to use. They also know a bunch of platforms that you have never heard of that you also might want to use, because there's more out there than just Facebook and LinkedIn. Especially for the younger generations, they're on different platforms. They're using different apps. So as you're trying to communicate to donors as being a nonprofit, or if you have clients, or just you're trying to get your message out there as a non-for-profit, use some of these experts who have the platforms. They understand the platforms. They understand how people communicate on those platforms. They understand what not to do, because there's some best practices and some worst practices for using different platforms. So there's definitely firms out there that's what they do, and they're just frankly better at it than a lot of us who have other things to do.
I think, for example, sorry, Bill. So for example, I might use you to help me actually create the video, and then use the social media expert to actually do the posting and distribution of the video.
Yeah, distribution is really important. I just do video. I don't do other aspects of marketing, but I encourage clients to think about what I do as a tool in a larger campaign. So if we make a beautiful video for your organization, and it's really good at capturing your message and your cause, and it never gets out in front of anybody, there was no point. So yes, I have people I know that are the social media experts, and so I usually connect them into the project. But yeah, we need to think through both the content of the video as well as the distribution.
Yeah, I think, Rob, you raised a number of interesting points in an era where nonprofits are so much having to compete for resources and trying to distinguish themselves, keep themselves front of mind to their donors and supporters. So combining a written appeal or even an email appeal with some video of the people you serve, of how your volunteers are acting, of seeing little stories or vignettes of the kind of service that your nonprofit provides is much more compelling by a video as opposed to the textual kind of presentations with the overall objective of trying to set yourself apart and target the heartstrings of the people you're trying to reach.
Right, right. To be able to see and hear the people you're helping. I mean, this is not a new strategy for non-for-profits, to be able to see a picture of the children that you're helping, or the animals that you're helping, or whomever the ultimate person or group that you're helping is. It's really to attach donors and supporters to actual people they're helping is very important, and better than just knowing the numbers of where the money went and seeing the pie chart. As important as that is, to know how their money was spent, to know who they were helping is very important. And video can be a great tool for that. There's different types of video. I'll throw this in there, that a nonprofit can think through as thinking what kinds of message and what kinds of platforms do they want to use. Video, usually for clients, there's always an overview video, helping people understand what you do, what your cause is, who you help, how you do it. Usually it lives on the website. Just giving an overview of the services and the scope of what you do is important. Another kind of video that a non-for-profit might use is client or customer testimony. If you can, if it's possible, it's not always possible, to get the people who are receiving the help that you're giving, if you can get an interview with them, if you can tell their story, find a significant story that kind of represents the best of what you do, and get that story on video and make a nice, polished, beautiful video that tells that story, so that you're humanizing the person you're helping. They're not just a number, and they're certainly not just a charity case. They're a person who has a need that you have helped, and that can be very moving. There's also the idea of using events that you're already going to do as places to shoot video. There's not a lot of meetings right now. People are not doing events and fundraisers a lot right now in person, in Illinois particularly. But as we go forward, and as we're able to meet face-to-face and do more larger events, as you have fundraisers and galas and balls and things like that, have somebody there with a video camera and a microphone, and get interviews with staff, with supporters, with clients who are there. Get those interviews. Show that you're having fun together, that there's a community, there's a whole community there that's working on a problem and solving it and having success. And then we can edit that video into short snippets that advertise the event for next year perhaps, or they simply advertise the services, or they just tell the story. There's a fun story for people to see on social media. All that video can be edited down into short snippets that you then share and get that lives out on your social media. Like I say, it lives on your website and does a lot of communication work for you after the event. So you put all that time and money and effort into an event. Let's get some footage out of it to use it. And lastly, one other tool I'll just mention here is what we're doing right now, webinars. Webinars can be a great way to get more in depth and go into more detail about what you do and how you do it. It's a longer form of video content, but if people are interested in what you do, and you already have those, you already know they're interested, alerting them to a webinar that you're hosting where they can ask live questions perhaps, or after it's recorded, putting it out there as a longer form of video that's educational perhaps. Usually webinars are educational. Webinars are a great way to take the time to get more involved and have deeper conversations than you would have in a 2-minute video that's living on your website. So those are some different ways of using video, different tools that accomplish different purposes that a not-for-profit might use.
So Rob, having been at a gala event where you did the video, and also a client who used your services, I have to do one of those testimonials. And that is the gift of being able, as a director, a video director, to work with, in both instances, women who have been through some harsh things in life. And it's not easy to talk about those experiences, let alone talk about them with a gentleman. And that's the gift both I have had as a client of working with you, but seeing that come to life on a screen and present, and see the thought and care, never mind the beauty of the video, but the thought and care you had in working with those, you know, that's that is something special. Is the message has to be crafted in a way to be able to actually reach people. And I think that's a gift that you had in both of those instances. So that's more of a comment and a shout out for the work you did, but also as a nonprofit, be very, very thoughtful to the message and work with somebody who can actually live your brand through video.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mary. Thanks. The nonprofit clients I've had that were working with vulnerable populations, almost always the people that they chose were willing to speak, but there were, like you say, a few instances where they were willing to speak, but they were kind of, they wanted to make sure that they weren't going to be exploited, you know, their story being broadcast too widely, or they wanted to be careful of the names they used or things like that. And you do have to think through before you drop that on somebody and ask them to be in your video. You have to think through what are the cautions that you need to take, and to have a director that can help you think through that can be invaluable, because you don't want to insult your own client in trying to get a testimony from them as much as they may want to. You need to be careful because you're dealing with sensitive information sometimes. So yeah, I appreciate that, Mary.
Rob, can you speak to the difference in the end product? One thing you said earlier is that video is very accessible. We all are carrying our video with us in our phones. And one thing I've seen with you is that there's a difference between me filming a video of myself with my phone and the professionalism of the end product versus using someone like you who is directing me, helping me develop the appropriate script, the correct lighting, background. For example, your background is your logo. And it's just communicating a very different message than if I just held my cell phone up to my face and talked for a minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's because that question does come up of everybody's got a camera and you know, my nephew can edit, you know, knows how to edit stuff. And so why don't I do this myself? Why do I need a professional? And I don't discourage people from trying to do stuff in-house. I'm a small business owner. I understand they're trying to do stuff in-house to save money. I get that. My encouragement to profit or non-for-profit clients is simply be honest about what it is you can actually do. Be honest about how much time you actually have. To do what I do, it takes time, it takes equipment, and it takes expertise. It takes time to learn. If you don't know much about video, it takes time to learn the technology. It takes time to learn the medium. It takes time to learn like on the distribution we talked about before. It takes equipment, which also takes time to learn. Equipment costs money, and all of this takes some expertise. Time is money, as we all know. So I just encourage clients, potential clients, to think through and be honest, to count the cost, right? Of how much time do I really have to do this? Do we have somebody in-house who can do this or not? I use the example frequently of an attorney who is able to charge $300 an hour. If he wants to get up and running with video on social media, because he wants to market himself out there, get his firm out there. If it takes him 10 hours just to get up and running with the video camera and some basic knowledge, that's $3,000 of billable time he just spent on getting video. And it's not even necessarily good video, it's just starting. You know, he's got many more hours of editing to do on top of that. So I just encourage people to think it through, and sometimes it really is more valuable to outsource to somebody like myself who has the equipment already, who has already put the time into learning it and has the expertise to do it. So I don't discourage anybody. I don't want to say you can never do it in-house, but just be honest.
And just all the inputs that go into it in the planning process that really are reflected in the end product, the script planning, the lighting, hair and makeup, location, editing, all of that is planning that is reflected in the end product and the professionalism of the end product.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I would add, everybody needs an editor, right? Everybody, not every idea is a good idea. And I've seen videos out there made by large companies that were not good ideas. Everyone needs an editor. You know, I fall in love with all my own ideas. I have my perfect ideas that I would never want to edit. And then of course, when I actually talk about them with others and double check them, I think, you know, really, I really shouldn't do this. I should do this differently. I should say this differently. I should shoot this differently, or the idea is just not going to work. So everybody needs an editor. Don't run with your first ideas without getting some feedback about them. And an experienced director could help with that. Helping you work through how to avoid bad ideas or confusing messaging. I run into confusing messaging probably more than just bad ideas. We don't know how to speak on camera. We don't know how to write very well. We drone on and we don't realize it. All those things come up in video, and you need some help sometimes to cut back and refocus and avoid some of those things. So yeah, I just add that one aspect of on the apart from equipment, apart from technology, there is simply the benefit of having another set of ears helping you to communicate, because not our first ideas are frequently not the best ideas. They need some refining.
But I'm thinking in the nonprofit context, although there may be people that are not professional looking and delivering the video content, on the other hand, there's a passion. And it occurred to me when you were speaking previously, Rob, that you can pair a video that is, let's say, promotes an organization, talks about the way that service was delivered, and overlay onto that a passionate supporter who tees it up with, here's why I support XYZ organization. You're about to see a video that, and the passion of that person who might direct this message to their friend base, to their private network, and then supplement it with that professionally done video, that can have a certain power itself. It's intriguing, but I think it speaks to a different way that video can be used in the nonprofit way to promote a message more effectively even.
Yeah, use all the tools you have. So if you have a passionate client or supporter or donor who's willing to go in front of the camera and help you like that, and maybe they're the person who's walking around with the camera and microphone at your event, doing the interviewing or whatever role they play. You think outside of the box. I mean, how can you get your message and the passion of it out there using your people, your locations, buildings, equipment, clients, all of that. Think outside of the box and use video as a tool to communicate that all. But we've come to the end of our time, so I just want to thank everyone for joining us. And we've also come to the end of our webinar series for non-for-profits. And our goal was to help them be wise as they come out of the shutdown. So I hope we've accomplished that in the videos we've had. You can check out our other episodes for insight as well into, for example, managing cash flows, reassessing partnerships and activities, and rebuilding your organization culture. We've done webinars in this series about that as well, so be sure to check those out. And lastly, if you do have questions about creating video content during the shutdown, to keep in touch with clients or donors, creating video to promote your organization on social media, or if you'd like help facilitating webinars like this one, please contact me if you'd like to talk more. I'd love to talk more with you about it. Also, take a look at my website for some samples of my work. Again, I'm Robb Emmett with Win-Win Productions. Thanks for joining us today. And we hope that you guys are doing well and able to work through these interesting times. So feel free to follow up with your questions for our panelists. I'll be happy to pass them on to them, and they'll be happy to get back to you and talk further. So have a great day, everyone.